Judging by a lot of the comments that I get in my videos, I feel safe assuming that a lot of you fellas are pretty damn miserable with the state of your lives in general. I mean, Jesus, you turn to me for your entertainment. That's not a good sign. And I mean, I could hate every bit of this and I could want it to change and wish the best for you boners and whatnot. But purely from an analytical standpoint, it just seems like it would be a whole lot easier for me to just lean into it instead by giving you all a full guide on how to be even more miserable. And sure, that might sound like it's the not right thing to do, but really, who really wants to be that happy? Yeah, what's that gonna do for you? All of a sudden you're walking down the street with a skip in your step, at like 9 AM, waving hello to old people, whistling, wearing khakis or something. I don't know. Do I look like I know what happy people get up to? You can't lie to me and tell me that you actually want to be that chipper. No one does. Especially with all that effort. I mean, I'm not even necessarily sure if I'm actually capable of being happy in the first place. Like, I can't even whistle, not even a little bit. I'm already off to a terrible start. You know, it makes me feel like I was just born without the ability to be happy. With all that in mind, I don't know who'd ever bother trying to be happy, not even knowing if they can do it in the first place. Considering the risk you'd have to take and the level of effort that you'd have to put in, I can honestly say that I think yous are pretty damn smart for choosing to not be happy instead of some loser failure who tried. And listen, I want to first make something very clear, and that's that yes, the key to being never happy is all to do with the way that you choose to approach life. The decisions that you make as you go about your life are the difference between a life and a life that you can really fucking complain about. But it's sad because I know tons of people who go about life never really giving themselves the time to stop and think about just how much worse of a time that they could be having. You know, because they don't really even bother themselves with those kind of thoughts in the first place. Which from an analytical standpoint is a terrible thing for me. But I've realized that it's really up to me then to share with everybody a couple of things that could change your life and open your eyes to just how not happy you could be. Let me tell you some of my favorite ways to never be happy about anything at all. There are, of course, a couple of great habits that you can get yourself into that can drastically change just how happy you are. The most obvious of which being cutting off everyone that you know for stupid, petty little reasons. I mean, come on, there's no better way to make your life unreasonably hard than by arguing with people over whatever, really, and not stopping until they're kind of just forced to leave you alone. And it doesn't even really matter what you're arguing about as long as you refuse to not have it your way. This strategy is definitely a lot harder with family members than with friends because they're more likely to be more persistent, which only means that you'll have to be too. But getting hung up on dumb things can for sure ruin all of your friendships. And the best thing about friends is that they can not only start to not like you, but can actively hate on you and bully you without the consequences of having to live with you. And while you're ruining all your relationships, if you happen to have a lady friend, you know what? Never mind. That's probably, chances are that's doing the trick as it is. A big part of being miserable is acting like you're better than the people in your life. You've got to make sure to be a big dick about anything that you can and pin every reason as to why on anyone else. Your average conversation from now on should go a little something like this. Hey, I was about to head down to the shop. I was wondering if you needed anything at all. Why are you always going to the shop? For like supplies and shit, and just to continue on living? Nah. You're not allowed to go to the shop. Huh? You just went earlier. You're going to the shop way too much, man, I'm telling you. Alright, bro, I'll see you in a couple minutes. At this stage, it's me or the shop. What? It's me or the shop. You choose. Man, why are you always doing this? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? Why you always gotta go to the same grocery stores as me? What? Why do you occasionally listen to some of the same music that I listen to? We drive to work together. Why are you always getting with girls that I might consider getting with in the future? You mean like my girlfriend of 3 years? Why are you always breathing my air? Oh yeah, Mr. Jesus, man, I really can't deal with this. I'm gonna go get some milk. On the way to the shop. Yeah, find problems with everyone, rub them in, and get really offended if they don't bother to change their own shit just for you. No one will want to talk to you then. But if all that doesn't work and, you know, your grandma still tries to get in touch with you occasionally or some shit, and you're all out of ideas, I don't know, spit on her or something. Spit on your grandma. What's the matter anyways? And you'd be surprised by how quickly you'd see those results. All that matters is being as lonely as possible. Nothing can make your life worse than having no one to enjoy things with. And making yourself out to seem like so much better than everyone else by highlighting all of their flaws is so effective it can make some people feel like they just don't need friends at all. Which is great because isolation is your only friend when it comes to being as miserable as possible. So make sure to stay inside your room as much as you possibly can. And fix your sleep schedule so that the only people that you could talk to are on the other side of the planet speaking in Chinese. To avoid as much human interaction as you possibly can as you go about your life. Hell, I'd recommend that you stay inside your room at all costs all the time anyway. Being in your room all day doesn't only isolate you from human contact, but it's also a great way to remove yourself from all those little bits of happiness that the world has to offer you. The sun is a big ball of bullshit. Don't forget that. Going outside or even just petting a stray cat for a minute can spark a little bit of compassion and humility in pretty much just about anyone. And these feelings can help you appreciate the world around you for what it is, without all the superficial stresses of modern life, which makes it honestly probably the best way to calm down and relax. I mean, it's built into our biology. It'd be inhumane to not enjoy the sun and nature and shit. Which is why you're gonna have to avoid anything like that at all costs. And while you're spending all day in your room anyways, you might as well use your time wisely and pick yourself up a couple light addictions. Light addictions are a nice, careless step towards becoming less and less happy with each and every passing moment, as you slowly lose more and more of your soul. The big thing here is picking casual, easy things to rely on. And you're gonna wanna be all there mentally if you're gonna really feel the shame of being unable to live with something so stupid. That right there is exactly why something like hard drugs is it's no good. You know, because they're actual real addictions that actually drastically change the way your brain works, making that drug a physical necessity for you. Until you reach the point in which you're effectively just a zombie who cares about nothing except for getting more of your drug. Whereas something like Granny Corn or Burger King is way more effective when it comes to feeling like a piece of shit about it. These things are all great for bringing you down mentally. And with your already deflating self-image, it'll be easy for you to find excuses for your new habits. Your average internal dialogue from now on should go a little something like this.
Carving pumpkins already?
Yeah. You know, I probably should go to the shop and get some milk at some stage this week.
You know what you're supposed to do for me? You know what's my favorite part? Of course. Oh, there's so much in there.
Even when you don't actually need them and they don't do much for you other than waste your time. And you want to make sure that you're wasting as much time on yourself as you possibly can. That way you never have to run the risk of actually enjoying it. If you find yourself smiling, hell, even chuckling in life, your best bet is to remind yourself of all those things that you act like are really important, knowing full well that they're really not that important at all. And about how being an ass about them is what separates you from everybody else. It's hard to explain exactly what I mean, but if you're not wasting your time being real angry and arguing with people that you do not know about issues that don't affect you from countries that you do not live in, as though that argument is exactly what God needs from you right now, then you're not only not wasting your own time, but you're also missing a perfectly good opportunity to have another person hate your miserable ass too. Remember, you can be a lot more miserable if you just go about using your time effectively in order to maximize your misery. And with that mentality, you'll be able to find every single opportunity that presents itself to you. Obviously, you're gonna have to make yourself some money at some stage if you're gonna fund all of this misery. You know, you're gonna have to get some sort of job. But lucky for you, this is exactly where you can knock all of the joy out of your life and hit two birds with one stone. You can get both things done at the same time, both working and making yourself miserable in the process. By just getting a job, doing something that you do not care for, surrounded by people that you could care less about, all for just enough money for you to never actually quit. That kind of life over the course of 50 working years could drive anyone very not happy. Pair that with having nothing to work for, nothing to come home to, and nobody to express all your honest frustrations to, as you slowly die both physically and mentally all alone. I really couldn't think of anything that could make anyone more not happy. So if you follow every single step in this guide, then by this point I can guarantee you that you will be very not happy. It really is that simple. At the end of the day, what's so great about being a fat towards life is that it is something that's completely in your own hands. It's something that no one can take away from you. No one but yourself can force you to live through, because it comes from the things that you will always have to decide for yourself. Really, all I'm trying to say is that being unhappy in your own life is something that's completely up to you.